Hey guys, welcome to a slightly different video today because today I'm in beautiful Lithuania in Vilnius visiting my friend, and I'm in a very special place that I wanted to introduce to you. Today I want to introduce a guest to today's episode, which is Artašes. Artašes runs a very special place that I want to introduce to you, so let's just see what this is and what it is. So Artašes, tell us about the mission. Where are we?
Okay. The place is called Salon of the Magic of Music. As hi-fi shop, the Salon was established 70 years ago and was in different places in different cities. But when we come to Vilnius, we were looking for the place to move with this shop for high-end audio, stereo systems only. We never deal with the home cinema and so on. We have been proposed this place, which was appear after restoration of the old building inside of the protective wall of the Vilnius. The bricks on the back of us are from 16th century. It's all original, it's all cultural heritage. And the shape of the place was, of course, not favorable for conventional shop. There are certain niches. There are 6 of them, and then I decided instead of doing the same shop as before, just do the showrooms, not the shop. Do the showrooms to put in each corner, to put different, absolutely different, and it's consciously different, just to show variety for the clients. So what is possible now, which kind of the arrangement, which kind of speakers, which kind of amplifiers, sources, and so on. There are 6 systems, and 4 of them equipped with turntables, 2 of them with streamers, and so on. Just to allow to talk with the provisional client and to explain him and to allow to decide what he would like. He say, I want these speakers very much. Then I say, you cannot want at the same time the amplifiers, which are tube amplifiers in the next room, because that doesn't match.
I see.
If he say, I very much like these amplifiers with the shining tubes, okay, forget about these speakers. That not and so on, about everything. He said, I don't like to spend so much for the cables, then don't look on this gear, because without, if you don't like to spend, for instance, 5,000 euro for the cables, you don't need to spend 20,000 for this gear. It will not sound properly for this money. You're just wasting money. Saving on the cables, you are wasting money. In general, when you save on any component in the chain, you are wasting money, because the final result will correspond to the weakest chain. And all money you invest in the better components will not work. You will not hear any difference. You will not enjoy it. So that was the purpose of the place initially. And I should take and it was a lot of trouble with acoustics here. And you see certain arrangements taking in account the cultural heritage and protection for the walls, but still I should somehow annihilate a lot of vibrations from the gips around. Gips details, they were sounding terribly, sometimes more loudly than speakers. And so everything you need, it's not decoration just for the nice view, it is fighting with the vibrations.
I see.
Unnecessary vibrations. And absolutely necessary arrangement on the roof, on the ceiling, because it's low and the very close reflection from the speakers. And of course it was uncomfortable, but with this arrangement the sound dissolved and diffused sound became more comfortable and better, and so on. So I arranged the place to be able to, in each corner, to demonstrate really good sound for different prices, but for any price, sound may be good and may be terrible. And unfortunately, people sometimes spend a lot of money and they're unhappy because they don't have really good sound. It is very common. Out of 10, 8 owners of expensive systems, they don't have good sound. because they have been said by the sellers of this company that it's very good, it's excellent, it's the best. He is buying the best speakers for 50,000, then the best amplifier for 30,000 in another place, another country, then put them together and say it is what he was tricked by and cheated by the sellers, because sellers said it's good and it doesn't sound good, but unfortunately it's his fault. And so that's common. That was the mission for the place, just to demonstrate and to help people to get advice. I would not say it was very successful. Some people come, they listen, they ask, but they never follow the advices because they think they know better.
Interesting.
Unfortunately. But then we decided, because of the facilities are here, the space is nice, cozy, and we decided to revive the activity of the NGO, which was called Magic of Music, and actually appeared before the shop. And this NGO was, the mission of the NGO was to attract people, to return people to listening for music. Because in recent years, people actually somehow, gradually, with the appearance of CD, and it was quite deep reasons for this, why at that time, they stopped to listening music. They continue to hear it. Even more and more. They hear music everywhere,
it became
all
fast
the time.
phones.
But hearing, it's not listening.
Yeah.
And the habit just to put record, to sit down and carefully listen it to the very end. Then other side. Sometimes then repeat the same record. Listen once more. We were meeting with friends to listen records. Nobody do it now. It became individual, and unfortunately, it was because CD was replaced, not with LPs. The modern trend for LPs now, it's another bullshit. But CD was replaced actually by MP3s. MP3s became totally dominated format, and the way of listening became nearly totally dominated as a streaming. And as a streaming with MP3 format, taken into account the limitations of hardware with the speed of and memories and so on. Some 10 years ago, it would not be possible to stream DSD 256. So only MP3. But with MP3, they could only listen with simple music. Very simple music for entertainment, for exercising, sometimes for relaxation of sleeping. But nobody can listen and enjoy opera of Wagner with MP3's format. Nobody can really enjoy the most sophisticated places in Coltrane music with MP3's format. Hard rock is not hearable, distinguishable in MP3's format. So people start to listen more easy, more simple, more primitive music, and they think that they don't like another kind of music. They don't understand, they don't hear another kind of music with the gear they have. And then we decided that we should, we used before when it was established, organize live music concert and so on. We decided we should return people to the records. A lot of fantastic records remains from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, not later, when they became digital.
Not later.
But the old records are huge treasure. And people could enjoy a lot of the very good records of music we were listening to today. The record of 73, so the Japan, and it was okay. And for this, we start to organize different events here with talking about one or another kind of the music, talking about one or another country, talking about one or another way of listening music, and demonstrating music, playback from the LPs or from the good digital sources like our render, LPs like it is Avid, and most people say, I never I never had an idea that it could be so good. Because they suddenly discover that they may enjoy music from the records. They forgot about this.
Yes.
The music became just utility, just for
background noise.
So background,
yeah.
No, not noise, okay, but background, and to listening. So, and that became the mission of this place, just to return. I say return because we all were addicted to the records some 30, 40 years ago. So, you was not here yet, probably.
No, I don't think so.
We were addicted. Yes, and now we try to take them back to the records. Of course, not to old records, modern records, contemporary records, which are made in good studios.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of them are in Budapest.
Yes.
And there's the 256, maybe most records are made in Budapest today. And these records really allow to transfer feelings, to transfer emotions, and it's worth to listen to these records.
Yeah.
But forget about Spotify or something like this before they would upgrade to the higher standards, higher formats, and so on.
I can definitely say that. I even told you wanted to turn off the music. I asked you, no, just let it run. It's beautiful because it's a completely different experience listening to music that I don't normally listen to, but coming out of a system like this, it is just beautiful. It's completely different.
But that's normal.
Yes.
The paradox is that's normal.
That should be normal, but
should be normal for everyone.
Very rarely do people get to experience this. I think that's the problem.
Some people maybe cannot afford quite expensive hi-fi gear, but from our experience, most of the provisional clients, they don't have hi-fi systems they could afford. Because they buy luxury cars, they travel abroad, they spend a lot of money for the housing and so on and so on. And then after spending, for example, 1 million for the car, they say, no, 20,000 for the turntables is crazy. I don't have such money and so on. That's normal. So actually, people listen not as much as they could afford, much less. We try to convince that they're afraid of this, so not visiting us very often and asking to convince them to buy better better equipment. Yeah.
What would you say is the challenge with hi-fi? Because we come from a studio background, of course, where we want relatively neutral sound that is revealing, so we know that what we do translates here, in the next room, in the car. So what is hi-fi? How do you think it's different?
With the time going, the challenges are changing, and what was natural in 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on, in 60s, and even very, very common household equipment was able to produce analog sound from LPs, and sound was quite involving. Even the old gramophones, they allowed to enjoy music because they're able to transfer emotions. The critical rupture happened in 1981 when CD was introduced.
Interesting.
And with the introducing of CD, the general concept about listening range, hearing range for the human, 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz, was introduced, became dominated, and absolutely idiotic idea became general that if you don't hear it, that it doesn't matter. Nobody say if you don't see ultraviolet rays or infrared rays, it doesn't matter. Nobody say if you don't feel the taste of the poison, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you don't feel the taste. But idiots say, anyway, you don't hear the frequencies above 20 kilohertz, so what is the reason to reproduce them? It's sunlight without ultraviolet or infrared, and so on. It's absolutely super idiotic idea, but it became dominated, total commonplace. Nobody discussing it. And with this idea, degradation of the equipment taking place. Because the criteria for reproducing music became oscillograph, you know, and other equipment,
oscilloscope,
and so on. Not the main organ for listening music is, of course, not ears. We are listening with ears like we are reading with glasses. That are not glasses and not ears. They're actually the address for the music. Address is the head. We accept, we perceive vibration from outside with any cell of our body. Any cell. And what became clear in the 80s already with some researchers of some Japanese, 2 universities in Japan, they also called supersonic frequencies are very important to enjoy music. The experiments demonstrated that people who were listening music, they have listening gamelan music with a very high range up to 118 kilohertz written in the records and the tapes, of course. And they were given the possibility to listen at full range or to listen it cut it off higher than 20 kilohertz. And absolutely, it was absolutely clear that music without this unhearable, nobody hear without this lower range, the highest ranges are not hearable. But when they are here, the music became more emotional. It's later on, I start to study theories and deep in with the neuropsychology and mathematics and so on. I find out how it's happened. I may assure you it's true. All frequencies has the sense. The speakers has the top range 32 kilohertz. And I spent some money to do it 80.
80.
Replace Twitter with a diamond one. Now it is about 70, 75 is a resonance frequency. And it's when people now, you were listening and enjoying them, you was not thinking about these frequencies. And people ask, I never say it to anybody who asks me, because when they ask me, what is the frequency of this speaker? I said, did you ever ask violin player, what is the frequency of violin? Have you ever asked, what's the upper frequency of violin? And do you know where it is? Nowhere. It go up and up and up. Yes. And the components of the sound, harmonics, are not second, third, fourth, sixth may be stronger than first, and eighth may be stronger than fourth. So there are not any regular decline of the insignificant harmonic which transfers certain feeling, maybe 20s. When the basic frequency, the maybe 1,000 hertz, let's say, but the harmonic may be 25,000 hertz. And what was also discovered that this highest frequency, that of course nobody here, or most people cannot hear 20 kilohertz. Me not. I cannot hear 15. I mean, maybe 11.
I don't want to say where my limit is because I make my money with this.
But doesn't matter. I feel the difference. I feel the difference. And this upper range of live sound components, which is limitless, it goes nowhere, is perceived by the body.
Yes.
There are one very, very, very nice woman, very outstanding woman, Evelyn Glenn, who is deaf, and he is outstanding musician. He visited Lithuania maybe 4 times. He is percussionist, and he making lecture. I may show you DVDs with her films, and so on, making presentations and explaining that you should feel the sound, not hear the sound. So she got disease when she was young girl, and her ears doesn't perceive frequencies higher than very, very low, but she feel with the whole body. And for your audience, if it's interesting to go a bit deep in the theory, just think about, suppose the basic frequency is 100 Hz. The first harmonic, 200. The second, 300, 400, 500, and so on. And you have in the whole sound, you have a number of harmonics. Then suppose you cut off all frequencies below 1000. So you only hear sounds which are higher than 1000. Could you recognize which one is the basic tone?
Oh, very good question. I think yes.
Easily.
Yeah.
Why? Because the step is 100,000.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You may cut off from the whole body of the sound. You may cut off all frequencies below 2000, 3000. Remaining higher part will disclose which is the basic frequency.
Yes.
And it is used sometimes. It is a known trick to make an illusion. And sometimes we have the phantom that we hear low frequencies.
Yes.
In mobile, in some equipment. But this phantom is built on this principle, just using the step between harmonics, which is the basic frequency.
So it's also a common mixing trick where you have instruments that have a lot of low end, for instance, bass guitar, kick, synths. So then you can cut off other instruments that don't need that low end, but they will still be perceived as if they have sufficient low end frequency.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And all emotional content of the music is coded not in the melody, but in the timbre.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You recognize the mood from the timbre of the voice.
Absolutely.
And timbre is a distribution of energy between harmonics.
Yes.
And in order to perceive the emotion, you should perceive distribution. So all harmonics should be reproduced correctly with the corresponding amplitude. Otherwise, you will hear violin instead of cello.
Exactly.
You will see trombone instead of trumpet.
Yes.
And you will see the angry voice instead of loving voice.
Yes.
That's about this.
It's about timbre, yes.
And it's
a very quick explanation. Timbre is essentially, if I was to scream at you now and whisper, we could make both of them the same volume, but you would still perceive them differently. You would still hear one as being a whisper and the other one as being a scream, just because of the different overtone content, essentially, the harmonic structure.
And it will be clear you are joking or you are seriously angry.
Exactly, yeah.
It's from the timbre. And that's emotion. And all other emotions are coded in the very deep body of the sound, not on the surface, which is coded in MP3 format.
Yes.
MP3s allow you to perfectly reproduce melody.
Yes.
Perfectly introduced macro dynamic, but not micro dynamic. Then you don't have enough resolution for this. And not all higher frequencies with this corresponding weight in the energy distribution. So that's most important for people who listen to music. They are not professionals like you in your studio. You need the sound would be very clean. You need the dynamic, which is needed. You may cut off or press the dynamic, make compression in order to produce CD, which will be better listened in the car, because you don't need full dynamic range in the car. It's impossible to listen in the car, and so on. But this way, you remove emotional content from the music. And so on those who listen just to enjoy, music, listening music, not as a background. It's okay, but that's different stuff. So enjoy to listen to music and to go in deep of the emotional nuances and highs and deeps of the emotional feelings and so on. They need somehow be able, they need the sources which are old vinyl or contemporary high resolution records.
Yes.
All in between, from the 80s to the 20s, all in between, mostly are not capable of this. Of course, there are exclusions, some successful records, and so on, but in the mass market, what is happening is not allowed.
So I'm guessing the key takeaway of this conversation is preserving overtones and harmonics and being able to reproduce them is key to be able to feel the music.
Microdynamics.
And microdynamics, yeah.
Overtones, harmonics, and preserving it in complex sounds. You know, one chorus of 80 kids singing, everyone should be represented in one single record.
Yeah.
One single
in one
track.
single, yes.
Yeah, and you should be able to hear them separately. That's challenging. That's very difficult. So that's unlimited. And when some people ask me which equipment is the best, the very best, and nothing is better. So whatever system, doesn't matter how much it costs. Maybe overtaken, but better system. Would I hear the difference? You maybe not hear it, but you feel it.
Yes.
That's different. If you don't feel the taste of the poison,
it
doesn't matter, it would not affect you. So music affects us, and for this effect, the effect of the music that affecting the feeling. And if it's happening, that's okay. Only this. Doesn't matter which brand, how much, and so on, that people start to think about this, throw it away, just enjoy. If you enjoy it, it's the right. It's the correct system.
Perfect.
If you don't enjoy the music, it's bullshit. Doesn't matter which brands, how much it costs, who advised you, and so doesn't matter. If you don't enjoy it, there are no music. That's all.
I think this is the perfect finish.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much for the conversation. Okay, so this was quite fascinating, amazing conversation. I learned a lot. I hope it was interesting for you as well. I want to repeat that the walls that you hear, that you see here, the exposed walls are from the 16th century. So we are literally standing in a piece of history, or sitting in this case, with amazing wine and fantastic company. So thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Until then, happy mixing. Bye-bye.